Hi everyone. Today in this lecture we are going to cover the Docker introduction and the installation. So why we need Docker? Application works on developer's laptop but not on the testing or production. That is because of the difference between the computing environment of the developer and the product. A large application is when broken down to smaller services, then these services are called microservices. Microservices are the small processes that communicate with each other over a network to fulfill one particular goal. So this can be done using a Docker. That's why we need a Docker, just to split a complex task to a smaller one. So we can use virtual machines also for splitting, but why we prefer Docker? So the reason is that the virtual machine just waste large of our resources, large amount of our resources such as RAM, processor, disk space, and many other things. And whereas the Docker just take the memory and the disk space according to the requirements. So that's why we just prefer the Docker. And the other problem with virtual machines, if we use the virtual machines on the developer side, then on the testing side or on the production side, there will be a problem. The application will not run there. And that is because of the problem of the virtual machines. But if we use Docker, then this problem can be solved. Now, next we have Docker container. What are actually the Docker containers? So, um, the Docker container is actually having a running application in them. Um, it also contains all the binaries and all the libraries that are related to the application that is running inside that container. We can also say that the Docker container is actually a runtime instance of the Docker image. Now, what is Docker image? So let's discuss it. A Docker image actually um, uh, contain application dependencies. The dependencies that are required for an application inside the Docker image are present, and the Docker image can be uploaded and downloaded from the Docker Hub. More than one image create a container, and the Docker images are actually the read-only templates used to create container. And as we discussed, that container have all actually the Docker image have all the dependencies required for an application, or we can say for a microservice. So we just noted a point here that we can upload and download images, the Docker images from the Docker Hub. Now, what is a Docker Hub? No, Docker Hub is a Git repository for the Docker images. It contains public and private repositories, and from public repository we can pull our images. We can also upload our own images on the Docker Hub as well. So that was about the Docker Hub. Next, we have a Docker file. Then what is a Docker file? So the dependencies that are required for an application are actually defined in the file, which is known as the Docker file. And this file, we define the images that we need for an application. A Docker image is actually code of an application. So the file that contains the code for the for the dependencies that are required for an application is written in a file which is known as a Docker file. So Next, we have the Docker compose file. Now, what is a Docker compose file? Suppose we have multiple applications on various containers and all those containers are linked with one another. So don't need to execute each container one by one. These containers can be run at once with a single command, and this can be done with the help of a Docker compose file. Here I think I have made a mistake. It doesn't execute each container one by one. It's just execute all the container at once with a single command. And this code is present in a file where we just uh, uh, linked the multiple containers with one another. In this file, we write a code for linking multiple containers with one another. We just define one container which depend on another container. So if we have defined a container and this file that depends on another container, then we also define that container and that file. And if the second container depend on another third container, then we also define a third container and that single file. So and with the help of this file, which is called the Docker compose file or YAML file, the purpose of this file is to link multiple containers with one another, and these containers can be executed at once with a single command. We don't need to have run first container, then run second container, then run third container. No, with the help of this file, we just run only one command, and all the containers are linked with one another, and they are executed and at once. They are executed at once and a single command. So that was about the Docker compose file. Now, Docker installation, we can install Docker on Linux, also on Windows. So for Linux, the following the commands that are given in the slide, you can install the Docker on the Linux. The first command is sudo apt-get update, with the help of which you just update your current packages, and then you have to enter the command sudo apt-get install docker.io, which will install Docker on your system. And then you have to install the you have to install the Python 3 pip. So for that you have to give the command sudo apt-get install Python 3 pip. Then after that, just give the command pip3 install docker compose. That will install the Docker compose library in your system. Then the Docker will be installed on Linux. So for Windows users, you can download the exe file from the Docker website. Just when downloaded, just click on that file and start the installation. When the installation complete, you are good to go. So that was about the Docker installation. That was all about the Docker today. So now everyone using your application will pull the Docker images, pull the images and will run the container and their own production side. So there will be no such issues of having a problem on the developer side and on the production side. Now the developer will just upload his images to the Docker Hub, and here in the testing side, the client will just download the images. Here the developer there the developer will upload the images, and here the client will just download the images, and the application will run on both sides successfully. So that's why we need Docker, and why are we using the Docker for our installation of ODOO here. So that was all about the Docker. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment. And that was all for today. For more videos, subscribe to the channel.